Hey Alexa, turn on living room light. Nope. Hey Alexa, turn on living room light. Nope.
Greetings, my name is Ryan Pinot, and for the last 14 years, I have been facilitating leadership development experiences for organizations and individuals, giving people the tools that they deserve to be a better version of themselves and have a higher level of results for themselves personally and professionally. We talk about responsibility, we talk about the energy you bring to a space, we talk about great relationships, we talk about coming from the heart and getting out of your own way, we talk about all sorts of things. And during this time of social isolation, in an attempt to continue to put good energy into the world, I am reaching out to some of our graduates and community influencers who are continuing to show up daily with good energy, with solutions, and with bringing more to the world than the world might be bringing to them right now. During this time of social distancing, the best we can do is continue to cultivate relationships and connect with people. And I hope that this series of interviews allows you to think a little bit differently about your experience right now and hopefully give you some tools to better influence your world. Our first interview is with the one and only Pastor Ben Bruns of Shepherd of the Lakes Lutheran Church and School. He's an awesome human being, a tremendously humble man, and I hope that through our next 15-minute conversation, you take away some tools and some energy that sets your day off right. So without any further ado, enjoy my talk with Pastor Ben Bruns. Thank you for visiting with me, Ben.
Yeah.
I appreciate, you went through our little Heart of a Leader training a little while ago, but then, since I met you, I think you're just such a good energy, such a good vibe. I was always looking forward to hang out and catch up. And then we finally are like, all right, let's do the hangout, catch up. And it's like pandemic.
Right.
None of that. So thanks for joining us. For anyone watching this, my good friend on the other side of the computer screen is Pastor Ben Bruns from Shepherd of the Lakes Church, Lutheran Church here in Brighton. He's got the voice of a guy that you could meditate to all day long. I mean, Ben, you got to start a podcast or something because you just have such a radio voice and it's just awesome. I love listening to just the smooth, relaxing tone that is Ben Bruns.
Thanks.
Take that for what it's worth. So I start every one of these with, or I want to start every one of these with, how are you? How are you today? How are you in this moment? We're kind of focusing on real talk. It's just, how are you? What's going on in your world? How's your mental, emotional, spiritual? How are you?
Yeah, well, that's a big question. Normally that's like, I'm good. How are you? But if nothing else, what I appreciate about this time, because obviously it's not something we want, but we're dealing with. When you ask that question, I feel like you get honest responses these days. People will talk. It's kind of nice. So. It's good. It's kind of like new normal for now. And we're fortunate that, at work stuff is moving along. People are participating with virtual stuff. So that's good. Family life, solid. We're healthy. That's a bonus right now, obviously. I think we're fortunate that my wife and I both have jobs that we're doing something, and that's something else I feel blessed by is so many people right now, even if they still have income and they're employed, it's like purpose. We took for granted that we have purpose, right? And I don't care what you do. I don't care if you make stuff, talk to people, lead, follow. It doesn't purpose. So I think we're fortunate that we have that too. So overall, feeling.
You mentioned, yesterday obviously it was Easter, happy Easter. And you were giving your sermon for Easter, and your reminder to so many of us is that, we are longing for what our what became familiar for us, right? We're longing to go to church because we can't anymore. We all want what we can't have, right?
Right.
Ben, if you wanted to fill your doors years ago, you should have just shut the doors for a while so you can't come in.
Yeah, right.
But I agree with you on that, finding purpose. So I'm glad that you and Kim are still rocking that. How's Roman with schooling? How's he feeling?
Yeah, good. He's good. It's the typical, like, he doesn't want to do school stuff. He wants to do everything else. So nothing's changed there.
Yeah.
What's funny though, is he's talked about like missing his friends and wanting to go to school. I think I mentioned that yesterday too. It's like, when is the last time your kid's like, I really want to go to school?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sick of you.
Yeah.
Right. No, he's resilient. 11-year-olds are pretty good at just figuring life out. So like,
kids are adaptable.
Yeah.
They're designed that way. It's when we get older and more rigid that we lose some of that flexibility. But
right.
That's good. That's good. All right. So in all of the chaos, you talked a little bit about purpose. Talk more about what that means when it comes to like being able to level, because I'm sure you, like all of us, have moments where you are losing it, right? Like,
oh, right.
Like, what are the days where you're losing it the most? What's happening? What's the mindset? Where does that take you? Why are you losing it?
Yeah. Wow. That's a good one. So I think the biggest thing.
We don't want to keep these just as like hokey-pokey, right? Like,
I know,
let's
right.
get candid.
Well, my job is one that I deal with big stuff a lot. Normally when people are talking to their spiritual leader, they're talking about something heavy, right? Other than just saying hi here or there.
Yeah.
So that part is almost like kind of normal-ish, but the difference is that normally you're dealing with one person at a time or one situation, and I think that there's times when it feels like everybody's dealing with the same thing, like we're all in this, and it's like there's no answer. There's no, like, normally I can give you advice.
Yeah.
If you lose a loved one, or if you're struggling with a relationship, or if you're struggling with questions about the universe, but like right now everybody's dealing with all that. And there's no there's no fix, because we're all kind of in the exact same boat. And I think the other thing is there's no clear end in sight. So how long are we going to be dealing with this? And I think sometimes when that hits, and I'm dealing with 15 things, and a large staff and a large church, it's like it can be almost like, wow, what do I do? And I think you asked the question, like, what do you do when you feel that way? And for me, part of it obviously is just kind of prayer and quiet down. But the other part of it is, I think it's important to have people to process things with.
Oh, yeah.
You and I had a great talk a week and a half or whatever ago, and just talking. And I've done that with a few people, where I think it's really important right now to just talk real. I think the other thing I've noticed is people avoid the topic because they don't know what to say.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, when something happens to somebody and you don't really know what to say, but you want them to know. It's like we're all dealing with that with each other. Nobody knows what to say. But I think one of the best things that helps me is just to process and talk about it. Because the truth is, nobody's going to think you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Because who has the answers, right? So that's big for me. I think relationship, and just kind of, when you get to a point where you're just feeling like, take a step back, and realize you're not alone.
I have a book called 1 Minute Wisdom. So every morning, it's just a bunch of different parables and stories and stuff like that. So you read one, and they're from all different cultures and stuff. And you read one and you just let it reflect, work its way in you throughout the course of the day. Mm-hmm. And the one I read last week that I remembered that I love was the student goes to the master and says, you share a lot, but what does it mean, or something like that. And the master says to the young man, am I supposed to eat fruit and tell you how it tastes? Am I supposed to give you the feces of the fruit and share with you he's basically saying, I can't taste fruit for you. You can't examine the process of my digestion for yourself. You have to do it for you. And I think that that's very real for what you're talking about. There's no answer. Who am I to give any advice right now? People are losing their jobs. Some people, I don't know what their relationship is like with their spouse, and all of a sudden they're with their spouse 24/7. Some
Right.
people, their social network was their work life, and now they don't have that. Some of us, some of us were really good at saying, oh, what my kids are learning at that school, and blaming teachers. And now you're
Oh
the
yeah.
teacher, I mean, how do you, and some of us are losing loved ones, and you're not able to properly mourn because
Right.
in that time, who are any of us to give that advice? So I think that that's so real. And I love that you come back to connection. I love that you come back to connection, because that's what we talk about. That's the reality of life, is just everything is at the end of the day, when you are losing it, to have connection to ground yourself is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. You leaning on Kim a lot for that?
Yeah, no, it's good. We've talked, we're fortunate. We're like, I don't know what people do in relationships where they're not friends anymore. They don't get along. And, if it's like budding, because yeah, we we make the best of it. You just, you look to each other when you need it. You know when to joke and when not to joke. And,
Yeah.
and you know that, you're kind of trapped together for real. So you got to make positive choices. No, she's great. It's
Yeah.
good.
That's good, man. That's good. All right, cool, man. All right. So I'm gonna ask this one, just even though it seems kind of naive, because we um, just got done talking about, like, how we shouldn't be giving advice. But I do want to ask,
No, sure.
if you had one piece of kind of grounded advice for anyone that has influence, not from a place of how to deal or handle this stuff right now, but just, hey, you're influencing a team, you're influencing a church, you're influencing a family, some friends. Hell, some people, they've got just social media. What's your feedback for anyone that's of influence right now? What do you think?
No, that's a great. Actually, it's funny you asked because I talked to the staff. There's 50 people between the church and school on
Yeah.
staff. Be part-time, but I talked with everyone, and I said, one of the biggest things, you guys are all doing great at performing, at doing your jobs. You're good at making sure that things are getting done but I think the biggest component is realize your level of influence, realize you're a leader, because, you think about it, people go to the person that has the answer, right? Just generally speaking.
Yep.
So our parents that have kids in the school are going to the teachers to ask questions. Well, guess what? The teachers don't have answers.
Yeah.
So, because who does, right? And so, but what I said was, just spin the way you have the conversation, because don't lie, don't make stuff up, but be confident in saying, there's a lot of things we don't know, but there are some things we know, and here's what we know: we love your kids, we're going to take care of them. We've got our faith, and so that kind of changed the perspective, and I've noticed a difference in the past week and a half. And they were doing great before, but and then also with others, I think wherever your influence is, just realize that you can bring positivity, and that's what we all need.
Yeah.
I mean, we can all focus on how much this sucks, right? but there is a lot of positive, and I think that being aware of where you bring influence is key. So I think the answer to your question is, we get so used to our normal that we forget the influence we have on others.
Yeah.
And even when you're doing something where it should be obvious, when you step back and go, wow, my 15 people that comment on social media, I have influence, or my kids that I'm teaching remotely, or my family member that is living alone out of state, or whatever it is, you still have influence. And I think putting yourself in the position to be the one that's bringing the positive influence is huge, because that spreads.
Yeah. What do you say to the person that wants to have all of the right answers?
Oh my gosh. Like, well, it's easy now. You can get away from them pretty easy, right? Yeah, that's the thing though, is it's so easy right now to say that we just don't know. I don't care what political, what religious, what level of income, like nobody has answers right now.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to just stay grounded and keep perspective.
Cool. Grounded in perspective. This brings me to, I'm doing this. My Charlie has opened the vault, man. He's found my Calvin and Hobbes books, and he is
Nice.
devouring these, which has made me start reading and reflecting on them again. I found one for you that just
Nice.
not you, Charlie. I found one for you, Ben, that I just appreciated. And it is funny how you bring these things up and you find the connection. So this one's yours. If people sat outside and looked at the stars each night, I'm trying to read this backwards.
I'll bet they'd live a lot differently.
Yeah, man. So
Good.
I think that just fits so with what you're talking about right now. Like you're just like putting things in perspective. So you want to unpackage that a little bit more before we move forward?
Yeah, I think that's the reality. That's my biggest takeaway right now is I've always been pretty good at trying to keep things positive, at big picture, but this has given me a whole new level of appreciation for that. That it's funny you chose that. Like, and I haven't seen that before. Just full disclosure, this is all kind of like you're dropping it on me. So, I think that one of the biggest things I said, and you referenced it yesterday in my message, I said, we long for those things that have meaning. I framed it yesterday in the sense of we long the things we miss. People are saying they want to go to work, they want to go to school, they want to see, so-and-so, they want to go to church. But it's really when you step back and give yourself perspective, it's like, look at what you have every day normally. Look at how much we were blessed and we took for granted. Yeah. And so to step back and just go, wow, instead of chasing after this or that, wow, we are incredibly fortunate already. And I think this is the time to step back and slow down because we're forced to, but in a positive way. And I think I mentioned to you a couple of weeks ago, one of my friends, he goes, I've been wishing for months that life would just stop because it's so hectic, it's so busy. I never have time. And he's like, now that it has, I'm like, I'm not sure that this is the way I wanted it to happen. Right? How many of us wish
genie wishes with the unforeseen consequence?
Yeah, well, how many times do you go, I wish I had another hour in the day. I wish I had another day in the week. And when we have that time, it's like, what are we doing and where's our focus? And I think this is the time for all of us to look at what we have and build those things up.
Yeah. Like double down, capitalize on that.
Yeah. Relationships, faith, all that stuff.
And I think, well, you are a pastor, so you are a spiritual guide to many. You are a light bringer. You are a path shower. I do want to ask you this. I don't know if you're familiar with the philosopher Boethius. Back in the day, is one of his infamous, one of his famous
infamous
perspective. It's basically for if you find your happiness in an apple, and then if you eat the apple is gone, can you still find your happiness? If you find your happiness in your spouse is taken from you, are you allowed, can you still be happy? And at some level, there's a lot of us that have lost some of the normalcy and comfort and control and what the next step is going to be, and even the vision of when this all ends. So from a spiritual perspective, from your Christian perspective, from faith perspective, what is the strength you can offer any of us who may have felt like our happiness was in an apple and now that apple is gone?
Yeah, any pastor loves to be asked that question, right? Because, I think the honest answer for me and what I tell other people is, where do you find your identity? you know, because if you're defined by Ryan Pinot, leadership guru, or I think that's what it says on your business card, right?
Totally. Totally.
But I mean, Ryan, you know, in all seriousness, like if I define myself by pastor of a semi-large church, or by, you know, whatever it is, by my title, by my work, when those things are taken away, it destroys you. Or if I define myself by my level of income, or my success in my marriage, or my success in my, you know, accomplishments, those things are always temporary. And so I think that question should be asked every day, but in especially right now where so many people have lost the apple, lost the purpose, lost the prize. What I tell people in a normal day is, you've got to find your identity outside of the way others define you. You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
you can't find your identity in being defined by everyone else. Your identity has to be secure, because when it is, you can be stronger in your approach to any situation. When you find it in something that isn't in your control, even if you think it is, it's a bad place to be. So for me, as you said, I'm a pastor, a Christian pastor, and you know, I find my identity in who I am in relation to my Creator. I know who I am, who God's made me to be. I know who I am because of what Jesus has done for me, and I know who I am because of how that shapes my day-to-day life. So nobody can take that away.
Yeah.
Like, I have a sure hope in knowing that I have this promise out there
Yeah.
that isn't going to go away. And it doesn't matter what the world throws at me. It doesn't make it any less real. Like, it's still difficult. I still have all the same pains as everyone else, but I know what my future looks like because of what I believe. And you know, I know not everybody's there, but I still think that when you seek out your identity in something that is secure, and when you look for meaning and for God, I mean, you're gonna find it when you really are open
Mhm.
to letting it work. And so that's my thought.
I was going to end with that, but it brings up something, and I hope you don't mind if I ask you one last.
Sure.
Well, again, I kind of want to focus on that real talk. So I don't know. I don't know what your. I had a hard moment that this last weekend. Hard day. Just one of those days.
Yeah.
Really, really. I felt the realization of what the professional future might hold, the path we might have to get there. When we started our business, there was a lot of nights of burning the midnight oil, and it's
Hmm.
very apparent that that's going to be happening again. Like, bleh. I'm sure you've had some. Maybe you have. I don't know. You are Ben. Maybe Ben the Untouchable. Some. but
I wish.
but in a moment of like really kind of maybe falling apart in the last couple of months or couple of weeks, maybe you can think of a moment. How did you bridge the gap from that falling, like that level of pain or discomfort or lack of control? How did you bridge that moment to what you just got done talking about, of finding your identity and who you are as a person of faith, your relationship with God? Does that question make sense?
Yeah. So
If you're willing to share.
yeah, you know, again, we don't know. That's a heavy question, but uh so there was a point, probably, I think it was spring break week for us. And you know, normally we don't do a lot for spring break anyway,
Yeah.
most of the time. We usually do a vacation a different time, but this year, it really hit me. I really felt for everybody on church and school staff that was on spring break in this time. And I know that sounds so petty, but this is why I'm sharing this. Like, what hit me is, this is when people rest. You know, if you're a teacher, you know, you work 10 months a year of, like, pretty much school year. You get it's getting less and less. You get a few weeks off in the summer, but that spring break is kind of like your reset, you
Yeah.
know, before you hit it. And then same for the church staff. You know, you're usually you're in Lent, close to Easter, and it's just a time. and nobody got to chill, nobody got to relax, nobody got to have rest. And we gave people the time off, and we said don't work, but it's so weird right now. How do you control that? So I'm sitting there at home, and just thinking about everything, and I just felt so sad for everyone. And it just felt like, man, this sucks. Like, this sucks. And then I kind of had that moment of like, why, God? Why? Why now? Why this? Why? And then it hit me, it was like that was just a moment that I had the realization of the weight of it more so than, before that. And there had been times, and then it hit me, and it's like, it's like this every day right now. And like, that's just the reality. And my job is to be the one who's bringing the positive, the change, the energy where I can. And it's not really any different, but I had to step back and kind of just decompress, talk to my wife, talk to a few friends, and just kind of work it out. Because again, it goes back to what we said early, like there's no clear right answer here. So my advice to anyone who would ask, when you feel that overwhelming, crushing, whatever it is that hits you in your world, take the step back, like look at the stars, talk to a friend, say a prayer,
Yeah.
and just gain perspective again. Because otherwise, none of us can handle it on our own right now, right?
Yeah. And none of us can slay the dragons for each other. We can't
Right.
have
Yeah.
everything, but we can't do the work for someone else. So it really is in community and relationship. And, if anyone's watching this, I just really encourage anyone, you make a phone call. Everyone, like, so often I think people in your role and my role, I think we often talk about how people are more willing to give help and be open and not judgmental than people remember. And even if it was just someone that you used to work with 3 years ago that you hit it off with, and maybe you haven't chatted to them in 3 years, if they were a good connection, call them. If I think there's a lot of people who are self-conscious of calling a priest or a pastor right now, because it's like, well, I wasn't that involved with my church anyway, and I feel like a jackass reaching out to them when I wasn't really involved, and I haven't been going to mass, but I'm really struggling. But now I feel like I'm calling only because I need something, and it's like, people like you and I'm not in any way, shape, or form a spiritual leader, but like we're there to help. We're there to just be open.
Right.
We're there just to be a listening ear. I don't give any shits if I haven't heard from you in 3 years. Like,
Right. No, me neither.
we want to give. People want to support. We're all in this together because we've all been through the times of loneliness and disconnection and what's next as well. So cool.
No, that's awesome. I agree. Yeah. People should reach out, and they should, if they want, like you said. That's what we do, pastors, priests. We want to talk to people that have questions, because we want to provide some encouragement. It's good. Let me ask you a question. Can I do that? Can I flip this?
Yeah.
All right.
It's good to see you, man.
So I want to know for you, because your job is so people centric,
Yeah.
and you're so, so I think most people that are going to watch this are going to know. How many weeks a year do you travel on average?
On average, we travel about 3. Well, I would say that on average, I'm probably gone about 10 days a month. So
Okay, so a third of the time you're gone.
Yeah.
So you've been home with your wife and kids nonstop. They can't get rid of you. You've been not planning a workshop or a seminar or whatever that you normally would be. You're not engaging with people and new people. So what are you doing to keep yourself sane? Because that has to be like, your world, a lot of people are shaken, but you're upside down, compared to normal. So what are you doing to keep yourself and your family sane?
Well, again, I laugh a lot. We laugh a lot. That helps. I have never been one to take anything too seriously. It doesn't mean that I don't acknowledge that there are serious times and heavy moments. But I have always been one that that understands that you have to remain flexible and you adapt as things go. I am never tied too much to a plan or what I must do or the next steps, because there's just no time in my life to carry around the stress of things I cannot control. Right. Like,
Right.
that's really important for me. The other thing that I want to, and then, so there's that, and that's just a mentality that I've had forever. And it is blessing me right now. Just like the super organized Lori Gaineses of the world, there are moments of organization that where her mindset is serves her really well, and I would flounder because it's like, I need more organization. But right now, my strength is coming through, so that is a blessing for myself. Making sure that flexibility is with the kids and Stephanie. I think so many of us want to have the picture perfect classroom for our kids, and you got to acknowledge, like, your kids are they're not going to listen to you the same way that they listen to their teachers. They're now mom and dad. They're not going to respond the same way. And you can't be the parent that just says, well, we have to get this done right now because it's what the expectation is. You have to move. You have to move through that. From a professional standpoint, what's keeping me sane is faith. It is an undeniable trust in my real mentality that if you do everything within your power to bring good to the world, to live the gifts that you've been given, if you reach out and serve, that things fall into place. And maybe things will fall into place, meaning that I'm back in the front of the training room in 6 months. Maybe things falling into place means that I'm working at Target for a little bit. Maybe falling into place means that I'm the world's greatest assistant staff member at Shepherd of the Lakes. I have no idea. I have no idea what that path looks like, but I have faith that I think all of us are capable of stepping up and leaning into this moment. And I put my faith in that right now, in the plan that I cannot control. And that's what I trust. So I don't know if that helps any. I'm talking to my chickens a lot more than I usually do.
Awesome.
But I don't know if that answers your question, but that's what I got for you.
No, it's good. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, thanks, man, for the chat. I'm going to stop recording and then we can just catch up a little bit. Is that cool?
Yeah.
All right, cool.